Hey y'all, it's Sarah. So this is the final pre-calculus video in this series, then we'll move on to the fun stuff. Today we're going to be talking about products, quotients, and compositions of functions. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and define two functions. So we have a function f that has a domain of a, and then a function g that has a domain of b. So as for the product of these functions, that is going to look like this, f times g of x, right? And that's obtained by just multiplying f of x times g of x. And the domain of fg is going to be the intersection of a and b. So for an example, let's let f of x equal x squared and g of x equal x minus 1. Then fg of x is just going to be x squared times x minus 1, which comes out to x cubed minus x squared. Next, we'll do quotients. So that is going to be written like this, f over g of x. And just like before, it's pretty intuitive what you do here. You just divide f of x by g of x. And so the domain is going to be the intersection of a and b such that g of x is not equal to 0, right? Because if g of x is equal to 0, this is undefined, so that can't be in the domain. And then composition. So this is kind of a different deal here. So f of g is going to be f of g of x. And I'm going to go ahead and do the example before I do the domain. And so basically, if we use the same two functions as before, we take f of g of x, which is x minus 1. So then we just plug x minus 1 into x squared. And that is going to be f of g of x. Oh, sorry, this should say of x up here. And then in terms of its domain, so the domain of f of g is the set of all x in the domain of g such that g of x is in the domain of f. Now, we kind of have to draw a picture to understand this. So this is b, right, the domain of g. Let's say that g, here, I'll make that smaller. G maps to this other set, right? G goes here. And then let's say that overlaps with A, the domain of F. So then F maps from A to some other set, right? And so the only things that are actually getting mapped into this final set are the ones that are here, right? And so the domain is going to be the subsection of B such that, this intersection is where we end up with the map of G. So hope that part makes sense. And yeah, if y'all enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe.